back. But were you always a part of this? So for people who don't know, there's a convention called Shoe Service Institute of America, who's hosting this convention for shoe repair people. And so there's so many people from across the country, or North America, basically. Because you guys are
also some people from Europe are coming as
really
well. Yeah,
wow.
there's some divisions from Italy and
wow.
Yeah. So this would be like
a big thing.
Yeah.
And so that is why we have this beautiful, fantastic 3 repair women that are in town. Luckily, we got everybody to come to Brooklyn, all the way on the other side of, where the event's happening, which is in New Jersey. Hence, it's hard to get to. I think on the way back, it's a little easier. We can just Uber across the bridge and then get on the subway somewhere, But going out there, it's like maybe an Uber from somewhere. But yeah, I just need to connect you before I forget. The sun and then wait.
Wow.
Wait, 140 for Uber? Oh no. Okay, what's your number again? It's gonna be like announced to everybody. Maybe you can type it in. And maybe.
Oh yeah, like that. Not talk. Yeah, for sure. They see people are doing it. They're like, okay.
But it's also kind of far. It's like 20 miles from there. Yeah.
Yeah, 14? Yeah, because the last 2 were online only.
She wants to get there by 10. It starts at 9. Yeah, okay. I don't know who yeah.
First seminar is
and there's not much overlap.
You assumed I was coming down for that, but I was coming down for them.
And then I was like, are you
times.
gonna stay till like this weekend so you can like go to this thing? And you're like, no, you're like, I'm busy with America, so. Okay. All right. Well, it's quaint, and thank you for coming. I just kind of told you guys about the Shoe Service Institute of America, but because you guys are all here, we're going to do the shoe talks and just ask you all these questions. This is to your, left. I don't know, the screen is like mirrored. Sorry, Lo from Soul Survivor Shop is here from Toronto, and Aris and Tess are here from Vancouver. East Vancouver, you say?
East Vancouver.
All together, yes. So share with us like your shoe journey a little bit, how you started, specifically shoe repair. How did you start? Just a short intro about yourself.
I'll go for it. I fell into shoes sort of by accident. I apprenticed with a shoemaker for a year, really fell in love with the craft, but then had a difficulty finding actual work and job within that industry, especially in Toronto. And so then shoe repair was like the next best thing. I found Soul Survivor. I was able to like be hired there and work part-time, but they weren't busy. They would only get maybe like 5 pairs a week. And so I was like, how do I keep learning? And I decided to offer bulk repair to all of the vintage stores where the shop was located, and like dirt cheap, like, $5 repairs, that kind of thing, just to like really keep moving and learning. And then within the first year of being there, the previous owner decided to sell the business. And I was at this pivotal moment in my life where I was like, okay, either I have to start all over again and find somewhere to work within this industry that I fell in love with, or take the chance and take over the business. So lo and behold, 11 years later, I'm glad I made that move, because I'm still here, and I decided to focus on hiring females mostly, just because I had a really hard time getting into the industry as well. Trained other women in the craft, and then I've just been sort of evolving with the times, and also with my personal growth of like where I'm at in life and how I want to do things, and the longer I've been in it now, I feel like I want to slow down in a more intentional way and become more creative with that aspect, because I'm sure you all know, like running a business, sometimes that in itself takes over, and then you're working for the business instead of for yourself,
Right.
and doing what you love to do. And so yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. And
Right.
that's how it all started.
Cool. But also, going even back to like, how did you even step foot into that apprenticeship?
Oh yeah, honestly, I used to be afraid of feet. I hated feet. I know. So that's the irony of it. I think I just like really liked working with my hands. And then I took this course that a friend of mine was trying to figure out like how to teach a leather thing, and we found like a YouTube course on how to make a pair of moccasins, and Tandy Leather had like a pattern, so we're kind of like, let's play around with it. And I'd made clothes before, but I'd never made shoes before. And once I put on the moccasins, and they were probably terrible, but I loved them, and just putting them on and wearing them around the house, and then looking down, I was like, this is really cool. Like I felt so connected to that, and it made me feel a little bit more grounded even in that craft, and I wanted to learn so much more about it. And then did the research, and I was like, where can I learn? I was about to actually go to Hungary for 6 months to learn with the shoemaker there, who barely spoke any English. I just found him on Blogspot, and
Oh,
messaged him. I
wow.
was like,
And it's not
well,
Marcel.
no, it wasn't
Oh.
Marcel. It wasn't Marcel. And then just when I was like about to make the leap of like, okay, I'm gonna go to the
Tickets.
stranger's guy's house and learn from him, a friend of a friend was like, hey, this gentleman named Peter Feeney, he was in Florence for 5 years, and he apprenticed with a shoemaker, and he's coming to Toronto, and he's looking for an assistant or extra set of hands. And so I was like, this is it. I can get to stay home, I can learn. And I had an interview with Peter. He was kind enough to take me on. But it was a slow process, because I think he was learning of like what it means to have a business. And then on top of that, he had to teach me the craft. So I had to really kind of step up and teach myself with a lot of the things. Stayed with him for a year, unpaid, just really dedicated myself to the craft, which we both agreed on. It's not like, you know,
Yeah.
And then that's where I fell in love with it even more, and I still am till this day. I want to learn more, and I'm just
Cool.
meeting other creatives. I'm just like, yes, give me all the knowledge, because I don't know anything yet. You know, that's what it is.
Cool, cool, cool. Thanks.
Pleasure.
Let's go with you.
So I got into shoemaking and shoe repair because I was shining shoes in the old port of Montreal while I did my undergrad, and I liked working with my hands better than I liked being in a lab, office job. So then when I moved back to Vancouver after finishing school, I started shining at vintage fairs, and I ended up connecting with a little cobbler who showed up and was like, "Get in my truck, kid, you gotta learn from me," and driving me 3 hours to this tiny studio in Kiss. And at the same time connected with somebody who had a leather consignment store, so selling off the jackets and dukes, who had a basement space, and was kind enough to let me start my own little sole proprietorship in that basement, doing a lot of like jacket alterations.
You make your own as well, or?
I have, but we don't have time. Mostly tailoring.
All right.
Yeah. I connected with Tess at a bootmaking factory, which is
There's a boot making factory?
there is a bootmaking factory.
Yeah. Where?
In East Vancouver.
Yes.
Not far. I
Yeah.
lived at the time about 2 doors down.
Oh,
So
wow.
very convenient. But by factory, it's a good sized factory.
Right.
But there was maybe max 6 people at any given time.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big team by any means.
Right.
And since, well, at least when Eris and I met, each person had individual station. So we weren't pumping out 100 pairs a week or anything fancy, but it is a boot factory.
Like 10 pairs a week? No.
I mean, I was
I'm just-
sewing.
Okay.
I was the one sewing all the uppers, and I was sewing maybe 5 pairs a week. So I
Okay.
was there 2 days a week.
Okay.
At the time, at least.
Yeah.
When the pandemic hit, Tess and I decided that it was time to open up our own space because I was growing and needed more space to keep up with my own sole proprietorship at this point. It was no longer at the factory. And it's just a good business partner.
And is that factory still there?
Yeah,
Yes,
they've
right.
rebranded after
I think.
stealing almost $1 million of wages during the pandemic.
Wow.
As one does.
Wow.
But they are still in existence.
Yeah. Is that where that oh my God, what's her name? There's a couple girls that
Yes.
work there
Yeah,
now,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
fellow
From
shoemakers,
yeah,
Emmy and
Jules, yeah.
their staff is actually probably the best staff they've had in a
team.
really long time.
Wow, talented people. Yeah.
Super talented team. It's just the building and company itself is problematic, but the team is absolutely fantastic. So
Oh, that's great.
no issues there. But
Yeah.
I graduated studying paper making and bookbinding in Montreal in 2015, and wanted to come back home to Vancouver, and there wasn't a big paper making and bookbinding scene in Vancouver at the time, but I wanted to keep working my hands as well, so I cold called a cobbler who agreed to take me on as a paid apprentice, which, wow.
I didn't negotiate that correctly.
And so I worked there for almost 3 years.
Wow,
and worked at the boot factory part-time, and worked at another cobbler part-time, who at the time was BC's only female-owned cobbler.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
Is
So-
she still in business?
So she closed right, like March 2020. I said, see you in 2 weeks, as we all did. And then she ended up just closing full-time about a year later. I think she kept her shop, trying to test the waters, but about a year later she closed out. And so Eris and I bought some machinery to get ourselves started, actually.
Yeah.
And
When did you start? You started during the pandemic, but
Yeah.
which?
May 2021.
Wow.
So I don't think vaccines, at least in Canada, weren't out yet.
Yeah, we were still in like lockdown right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was definitely the ran a Kickstarter campaign.
Yes.
Got funded within 36 hours and
That's
doubled the
fantastic.
goal that we wanted to make.
Wow, congrats. That's amazing. Yeah, it's hard.
Well, with Kickstarter, you have to be fully funded to receive any money, and so we just weren't sure, especially with the pandemic and being a queer-owned business, women-owned business, and a male-dominated industry. We weren't totally sure if people were going to come out and support it, or if it was going to be kind of like a no. But we were super lucky.
Yeah, that's
I was
great.
blown away.
Yeah. And then what from with that the funding, did it help with getting the equipment?
So Eris had some equipment from their sole proprietorship, some of the sewing machines.
Sweeping shops for a while.
Yeah,
Like
the pandemic was really bad for the sugar industry in a lot of ways, because a lot of cobblers who were on the cusp of retiring opted just to retire. And so that meant that the 6 month, 2 year previous, we'd started kind of eyeing, there's a sale coming up for closing or et cetera. And so we started picking up pieces here and there.
I think within the first 6 months of our shop opening, something like 9 cobbling shops in Greater Vancouver had closed their doors. We are the only one I have heard of opening in the past.
wow.
Yeah, same for Toronto. People are definitely shutting down, or they're just quiet and you don't know that they exist. They don't have an online presence or a working website or things like that. And yeah, they're also on the cusp of retiring and
Yeah. I'm gonna kind of like switch around the questions, but how did you acquire the customers? And is it word of mouth? Is it neighborhoods, like flyers? Is it online? Do people mail in?
yeah,
Products,
for
projects.
For us in the beginning, it was definitely word of mouth, like being in the community that we were in, and just people realizing what we're doing, and female owned and operated. They were really intrigued by it, and I also was a very much of a yes person in the beginning. I was like, even if I don't know how to, I'll communicate with you, but I'll do it all, And now, having paid our dues and being around for 11 years, I think then it's just gone more like online and social media and things like that. But we've never had to luckily pay for any press at all. That it's just always
Organic.
happened naturally and organic. And I even joke because our Instagram, it's taken 11 years to get to the following that we have, whereas other people just blow up so quickly. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm here for the long run, and I think it's good to have a natural growth of because everything that's conveyed online is really just a fraction of the truth, right? They don't really understand the hard work that has gone into it, and so it's definitely been a natural growth in word of mouth and just people supporting us and appreciating what we do.
The Kickstarter campaign that we ran was a very good advertising platform. We used it partially to get funds, but also just it's advertising that paid for itself. We were sharing the link,
Yeah.
posters.
The day we opened the Kickstarter, we went through, I think we had an 8-hour blitz in my apartment, and we went through the list of everyone we know in the industry that we're friends with and that we have connections with, and so that was really great.
Uh-huh.
Do you want us to pause?
Somehow the video is not on.
Okay, that was.
It's okay. Hold on.
I
Okay.
actually
on.
applied to low when I was in
Very
Montreal
gross.
cold calling.
You applied to Soul
Yeah,
Power?
yeah.
And we never got back to you?
No.
I'm sorry. You were too busy. I was like,
I was cold calling, so I mean.
I was like, who did you, oh man,
Yeah,
we
we
probably
know
didn't, did you talk to me or maybe another team member? I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember, it was
Ah.
many years ago.
The old staff used to gatekeep me. They're just like, we don't want to share a low with anyone. I'm sorry, I would have hired you.
No experience.
Yeah. No
It's
experience.
calling.
I mean, everyone that came through to us,
True.
only one person who had moved from Japan and had actually gone to school for shoemaking. She was the only person that knew what they were doing. Everyone else like had to learn all the work
Yeah.
while I had 5 employees to like teach them and all that. So
Yes.
Yeah.
We have like 2 sort of positions in our business where it's like leather sewists who do jacket alterations and tailoring, hole patches and bags, and then the cobblers. We do both, we do everything.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what's your leadership style? Like, how's your team is 4 people now? So you and 4 and you, everybody's growth and the
Yeah.
shrink.
It's us plus 4. Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, and it's me plus 3, so for us 4, yeah.
Wow,
Mhm.
wow. Like every day, or is it like a daily, it's a little different?
Seasonal, like in the fall, winter for us, we get busy, so we have contract workers that come on, and then we have people that, luckily, all of the team members that we have right now, they're entrepreneurs on their own and they're creative, so we kind of work through me and Soul Survivor. We don't want to get in the way of their growth, so we kind of work with them together on like what their availability is, what they can handle, and I work around that. So, and that also helps me to sort of spread out the work rather than having someone always come in when sometimes I just want to work on my own and not have anyone get in my way.
Uh-huh.
It's really
Those
helps.
blissful days, you know.
And then,
And yet we need and love them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
yeah, it's a catch-22 for sure.
but then do they come back yearly, seasonally?
I mean,
Same.
I've been fortunate enough that like the team members that were always with us, like they stayed for like 4 years. And I always find like 4 years is like the cusp of like, that's as far
What's
as you can
next?
get up in a small business, and then it's time to move on. Ideally, I always hope that people stay within the industry and kind of grow, but a small business, you can only offer so much. And so, yeah, people have stayed with us for 4 years and they kind of move on, and then, you know, we get new people coming through. But yeah, it's still always like we do all the work, we do it all. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But then,
Owners full time.
right.
Owner is full time.
And then the training, if it keeps on shifting too, you have to like keep on training.
Yeah, totally. It's there's no schooling in Canada for cobbling or shoemaking.
I mean, I don't
really.
think
Like,
in
there's-
America either.
Yeah, like in Europe, you are not allowed to open a cobbler shop unless you've actually done 4 years of school and 6 years of apprenticeship.
Wow.
So you have to dedicate 10
10
years.
years.
Because they have the rules and regulation that like no dodgy work will come out of this, and that's why like cobbling gets a bad rep because it's meant like you're just kind of slapping something together and here it is. But by doing that also they lose people who,
Yeah.
you know, I think 4 years is fair, but like to dedicate 10 years and then in hopes to open up your own business and you might not make it after that, that's a little bit hard. So I know Europe's struggling with that, but the fact that like they have, you know, regulations and schooling, it does give you more hope
Support.
than here, whereas like you kind of are trying to figure it out and sort of make do. But yeah.
How about you guys? How did you find your 4 staffs?
We hire a lot of people for sewing who come out of full costume programs.
Okay.
That was consistent at this point. And for cobblers, we tend to hire people who work in other trades where they're making or repairing things. So we've hired
Like mechanics.
bike mechanics,
Carpenters.
Bike mechanics.
2 carpenters,
Also people who are used to standing or doing kind of semi-physical labor jobs. We find cobbling is really physical, and working on a machine and pushing into it with a shoe for any period of time it's a lot. Yeah, exactly. So we try to look for people who maybe have some experience with that, they're just kind of used to it in some capacity, so that it's not such a big jump for them.
We get a lot of people applying to us and working with us who are looking for escape from other corners of the industry. They want to escape, male-dominated, like carpentry industry.
Oh, interesting.
Even just people wanting to make a jump from an office job to handmade job. Like we get a lot of our resumes for people who want to dive into something where they want something meaningful, whether it's sustainability or working with their hands or
trying to find themselves in
Yeah.
life again.
Okay.
Yeah, like we get those people as well.
Have you had shoemakers or come being like, I want to switch to repair?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, no, not at all. And I also, for me, I'm just like, I want to make shoes. I don't want to repair anymore. So like, I don't know, like, both worlds are so connected, but they're also so divided.
different.
I find shoemakers really, I consider them as artists because they get to express themselves with this object that they're creating from scratch, and I'm just there to maintain that and like keep it alive for them, you know. So yeah, I've never come across a shoemaker applying because they want to do repair. I've had other cobblers in the past like apply and they were male, and I had absolutely nothing against like hiring a male, but what I had against is like how they came into the space and tried to like mansplain me, and like, and so then I'm like, oh, get out of here. Yeah, that's typical. So, you know, I'm a student, and I think like the craft that we do is always evolving. Materials are changing, so that means we have to always keep learning. I just don't like it when someone comes in with an ego and is like, I know better than you, because you know, yes, you maybe do, but I will
do it this
last
way.
longer than you because you're older than me, and I, you know, like, let's be real.
On board.
Yeah, and you're
And respect, yeah, like, I think, like, to see each other eye to eye as a colleague, and so, yes, I've had cobblers in the past come and apply, but the vibe wasn't there, so I was like, I'd rather teach someone
new,
fresh, who's willing to learn and is open, and we can learn together, because I always say to my staff, like, if you see something that you think can be done differently, speak up. Like, I'm open to hear it all, like, you know, we don't need to get from A to C a certain way, as long as like the end results are the same and the quality is the same. I'm happy to like be open to that. Whereas I find older cobblers don't really, they don't jive with that.
Yeah, we've had similar experiences with people coming in with a little bit of attitude where they're like, no, my way is better than yours, even though it's like I've done this thing 8,000 times. I promise you my way is faster and more efficient for the shop, they're more efficient for the team.
Yeah.
And interviewing too, as like at the time at least when we opened this, we were both under 30, and so interviewing people and having people take us seriously and be like, no, we own the business. No, we're
there's no secret male investor here. Standing in for someone, it's us.
I don't know if you guys get this, but because our old shop in Kensington was like an open space, and so you'd walk in and we would have people, they would see us all working there. Just be like, so who does the work here?
Oh yeah.
I don't know, elves at night. I was like, and then like, who owns the business? It's like, where's the guy? And I'm like, I'm the guy. What do you mean? It's true. Like, I think it's insane.
Really like busts people's minds when they're having like a difference of opinion with like me or Tess at customer service, and like, well, can I speak to the boss? And then one of the other one of us walks over and they're just like even more
Yeah. I get a lot of like, oh, so do you repair the shoes? Like, you know, in past shops, like, oh, how long, you know, you an apprentice? Like, when did you start? Did you just start recently?
Yeah.
And it's not just the customers as well, like when we sell machinery to people or buy machinery from people, like the looks we get, just being like, you don't know how to work Landis. Like,
That's interesting. Wow. Yeah, you're like,
And it's true, we all didn't at some point, right? But like, there's something you don't know. Like,
But also we've worked into shops that we've bought out from people who've been in the industry for 20, 30 years. And Landis has been in the corner with a dust cover on it, not touched the entire time.
Totally.
And then you cleaned it up and
or didn't know how to, for sure.
Yeah,
Any-
we bring our own tools.
Yeah.
Someone has a-
Oh,
has a question.
Yeah, quick question. In your own practices, how collaborative is what you do? Like, I don't know anything about cobbling, and I know very little about shoemaking, but so are multiple people touching the same pair of shoes, or is it just one person?
What do you do?
Oh,
Yeah.
You wanna know my secret? Okay. Yes, in our shop for sure. Yeah, we have like depending on the skill level, you know, you can have someone who's prepping the shoes and then bringing it over to the next person who is in charge of gluing or sanding, and then the finishing person, right? But sometimes, yes, there is a job that can happen quick enough where someone can finish it and start it and finish it, you know, all in one. But usually with the team, it's just like kind of production line, like whoever is good at something and a little bit more efficient while the people are still learning certain parts of the industry of like what we do, then they only do the one task until they're ready to go to the next one. Yeah.
We have sort of two levels in our shop. There's the upstairs that has all the sewing machines and the customer intake area in the office, and then downstairs, which is stairs, like a giant 6-foot table and all the cobbling machinery and our glue house, which we love seeing yours. All the leather storage, but if once shoes come downstairs, it's usually the newest cobbler who's taking them apart with some exceptions. And pulling materials is one of the first things that you learn in our shops, and then Tess and I will do the sanding and balancing while walking you through how to glue. So learning how to glue is an entire process. There's grinders, like it's a thing. Identifying materials.
Yeah.
Materials and making sure that you glue it properly, secured, that's not coming apart the day after.
Yeah.
We will do the finishing and then usually polishing, and we do the final checkout. And as you stay with us longer, like our newest cobbler is 9 months in and is now starting to balance with us. We're starting to do the gluing, but no how making sure that that's coming out, which is a really satisfying thing to see somebody like.
Growing. Yeah.
I mean, even before we had staff cobbling, there was a good year where Eris and I were just, the two of us were doing the shoe repair, trying to make sure that, because we both learned in different shops, so trying to make sure that our procedures were the same before we tried to train someone.
And also just figuring out how our space works.
Yeah.
This new space being like, okay, that table actually, like all of that.
Yeah, we have to move that machine, this isn't ergonomic, this doesn't make sense, or it's not efficient. But even before we had staff, one of us would do that same procedure, where one person was gluing, the other person sanding, and you're kind of swapping, like, you know, trading Eris planning the shoe, and I'm now going to glue it kind of thing, and then I bring it back out to press it, or and even with sewing, we do a lot of things collaboratively. There's a lot of parts. We joke that I really love to start 100 things, and I don't finish anything.
Threads.
Yeah, I don't like thread, I don't like doing any of that, and Eris loves to finish things, like tick them off, and gets joy in that. So I tend to
Good
start
team.
Eris to finish.
Yeah, good team.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah. Any trends and techniques, or before that, what's your lead time? So what do you tell your customers?
We were just chatting about this earlier.
Yeah.
Depends
Busy
on the
day- busy-
season.
yeah,
I
busy
usually
time.
always kind of tell people like between 2 to 4 weeks, you know? Like usually it's within 1 to 2 weeks depending on the type of repair, like easy and like the season. Like right now Birkenstocks, you know, all shoe repair shops usually try to keep them within the week time frame because it's a season. And you also try to educate your customers being like, please bring things off season. Like do not bring me your winter boots on the first snowfall and then you have no boots to wear. That's also the joke. They're like, they're my only shoes. And I was like, what are you wearing now? You have more than one pair of shoes, it's fine. But yeah, in fall, winter, it does get actually up to like 6 weeks depending on the work and just like the type of repair you have to do on boots. It just takes much longer. Removing all the salt, you know, like in Canada we use salt for the icy roads, so that really penetrates through the leather and people don't take care of it, and you have to undo all of that and then take apart the whole boot, rebuild it, and
Wow.
the labor and the curing time for everything takes a little bit longer. And luckily, like our customers have learned that, so they in the beginning complain about the turnaround time, and now they understand it because
And they're
proved
repeat
it with our
customers.
quality of work.
Right.
We're like, good things take time, so just don't rush us and be mindful of when you bring things in. And yeah, like we had a woman emailing us last year for her wedding, and she had these shoes that she found a vintage fabric, and she wanted them completely rewrapped to match her dress. All that, great, we can do it. And I was like, when is this? Like, next week. I was like, absolutely not. Like, no way. So I'll pay you. And I was like, no, I will not rush your wedding shoes. And you left the shoes as a last minute thought. And I could do it, but something will go wrong. For sure, something will go wrong. 1 week is not enough. I have other people to deal with. So yeah, that's the thing where we try to educate people. Like, please plan and think ahead of what the seasons are and what you need done.
We do far too many services.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean, like far too many services? Can you
We
elaborate?
do like leather jacket alteration and shoe repair and custom work and touch of upholstery. Bag repair and re-dye and film industry rushes. Like, and large custom corporate jobs.
Yes.
We do
Huh?
lots.
Yes.
But typically our leather jacket alteration, like that upstairs sewing work is, I would say, 3 to 6 weeks out. Our custom work is usually 4 to 6 weeks out, because
Wow.
definitely one of us is doing customs. Our shoe repair, in summer, it can be, say, 2 to 3 weeks. We do the 1 week Birkenstock rush as well.
We also don't commit to our timelines. Like, we
Yeah.
are very loosey-goosey about it, because I've worked in shops where it's like, it'll be ready on Tuesday at 2 p.m. And at 3 p.m. your calling customer be like, I'm sorry, it's late, I'm home. My bad. Like, it just it creates a really weird energy. So we're really flexible and loosey-goosey, unless someone really needs it for a set time, in which case we make them pay a rush fee.
Yeah.
Mm.
One of us has to stay, and
Yeah.
Right.
It's overtime.
Sucks.
It's overtime hours.
Yeah.
You're paying the overtime labor.
Yeah.
We charge $350 if you want us to come in for a day when our shop is closed. That's
Wow,
flat
just
fee.
like flat fee.
that's like that
For a
work,
project.
That's just for us to show
Yeah.
up.
Wow. Oh,
To turn
wow,
the key.
great.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Turn the lights off.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. We don't
Yeah,
do it
I think all cobblers want you to know that glue takes 24 hours to set.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
It's not half an hour.
No.
No.
all. Just to get it done.
I saw you had taken a photo of and I actually saw it too, like of another shoe repair shop, but some neon signs in New York are like, ready in 10 minutes, and I was like, what's gonna be ready in 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Said
Like
in 10
just
minutes,
a
like, what do you
tip
mean,
of
a
your
shoe
heel?
shine? Like, yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Well,
it's
the
a
household's
yeah.
15 minutes at,
That's all 15
at
minutes,
John's.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Impressive, but.
I wonder if it's gonna be at the convention last week.
Do you still wear the boots that you made? Actually, so Tess came to Shoe Space 2018.
2018, I came and I did a 1-week class on boots, or I didn't have to make boots, I guess, but I made boots. I had been working at a cobbler who had been teaching the staff shoemaking, like an hour a week, and I think I had just finished my first pair, because it took me a year and a half. And so I was really excited to make, I think, my second pair at Brooklyn, in the old location. And then I made a pair of mules as well, with back on a 1-day class. And the mules I wear a fair bit. The boots are more of a fun showpiece for me. Not because of anything exciting, but just because now, 6 years later, 5 years later.
And it's a sequin
Yeah,
boots.
they've got big sequin, like wavy gussets going down, tucking under, or like gussets, but then reversible sequins, slid up in matte black and then blue and green there, and a pointy toe. Yeah, they're lovely. I am very fond of them, but they are more art piece than function for me.
Got it.
We do a open studio night once a week for our staff. They can stay
Oh.
for an hour or two and work on whatever they want to work on, 2 or 3.
More realistically.
Yeah, it's always like that, yeah.
Yeah, and we always tell them you're never going to wear your first pair of shoes. Because by the time you finish them, your skill level is skyrocketed.
Right.
Then when you're in that first step or such thing.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, like, unless you're doing it with somewhere like Shoe Space, at least in my case, I made design choices right at the last minute that, at least for my very first pair that I made in Vancouver, they kind of made them unwearable because I didn't have anyone else saying, you shouldn't do that, that's a dumb choice. Like, don't lower the heels so much they slip off your foot every time you wear them.
Oh.
So, I mean, a year and a half of my life, but it sparked something. So
Yeah.
no wasted time.
Right, right. What's the most favorite proud work you've done? Do you have like, is it all on Instagram? Do you have something to point to?
I mean, I feel like my crowd is like, I've lasted this long. Like,
Yeah.
you know, thank you. 11 years. Yeah, there's like obviously the jobs that I enjoy doing, I showcase on social media more, right? Just to also kind of lure the people in more that direction, so I don't get like crappy shoes coming in. But yeah, it's hard. It really changes, so it's hard to like pick just one thing
Right.
that you enjoy so much, because it also depends on the mood that you're in, right?
Do you remember
sometimes
more the hardest?
customer. Sorry?
Do you think you'll remember like the most challenging project? Not that, if you don't want to talk about it, it's okay.
Yeah, I can't
Think
say
maybe we
that
can
one like
anybody
springs
else
to
have
mind,
questions?
really. But yeah, I don't know. You don't struggle. We're fine. Yeah,
You don't sweat.
no, oh God, I'm sweating right now. Yeah,
I think our most proud moments of mine of last opening and doing all this was we had a staff member who was with us for a year and a half leave, and we've been working on our interview process and training process for the first 3 years really intensely. And she left for a wonderful job, and we did the interviews, hired, new person came in, and they met at the going away party and got on really well, and that new hire seemed to do perfectly, and just sort of that full circle moment felt really.
Yeah, I was gonna say the employee handbook. It's really one of my favorite
Wow.
accomplishments because it took us a lot of learning
Yeah.
to get there. But shoe repair wise, I mean, I'm always satisfied anytime we take our dust cover off the outsole
yeah.
and outsole repair and it comes out, perfectly crisp and okay, just look. Every time without fail.
But doesn't it irk you though, like when there are certain jobs that you have put your heart and soul into it, pun intended, and then the customer's like, okay, great, thanks, bye. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, do you know what you just brought me and what I gave you back? Like, it's crazy, but it's fine. Like, I also, and then there's people who don't understand, like, that they brought a shoe for just heels, and you do heels even though you suggest other repairs, and they're kind of like, oh, that's all you did. And I was like, that's all you wanted. Like, it's the people don't understand what they need and want, and they can't visualize it, right? Like,
Yeah.
we know, like, if someone's like, customize this, and I was like, okay, let's draw it out, and they're like, yeah, let's do it, and then they get it, like, this is what I wanted, and I was like, yes, that's what you wanted, you just couldn't see it, I don't know.
Your signature's on the receipt, I don't know.
Yeah, we used to make people at the physical store, like, after they picked it up, we would make them sign that, like, on this date I picked up, I'm satisfied, because people would be like, okay, great, and leave, and then leave us a terrible review or just like bitch about us, and I was like, you could have told me, or you could have told me in person, like, what, you said
you
you
could've
wanted
fixed this.
black heels and now you want brown, I don't understand, like, what, yeah, so that's for sure, there's
You have to be really careful with your customer
Yes.
service and
Right.
making sure that what you are saying and providing to a person is what they understand, and then you have it
Communication.
laid out in a way that you are both protecting yourself, but also staff can
I'm
get
impressed.
customer
I feel like you guys are way more communicative than any other shoe repairs that I've been to in the city.
for sure.
They don't tell you anything, and they don't even know.
We're also more likely to get called out if there's something wrong. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Do you think that's because female?
totally young and female, like,
Mm.
in the past, people for us were like, oh, they're young and inexperienced, and I was like, true, but we're here to like prove you otherwise with time, but yeah, for sure, we definitely have more to prove, but also like, we are offering more attention and communication because that lacks, and people do give that comment of like, oh, I just went to this guy and he just said no, and he threw the shoe back at me, or he said, fine, have your money back, and are angry. But I also can relate. I'm like, oh, after 11 years, I was like, I want to be that angry man. I'm just like, get out of here. So yeah, like I understand where they're coming from, but if you want to last and be sort of like available with times and what people need, and how people want to be seen, especially fashion, it changes, right? Like needs change. You got to be open to like communicate that correctly.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to last, you also have to understand that you're never going to do it perfectly.
Yeah.
100% of the time, and that you can't let the ones that went wrong weigh on you.
Right. Guys have any questions too in the middle? Like,
Yeah, I mean, great talk. You guys are super inspirational hearing your story and your journey. Is there, and I know, people may complain, but you guys seem like you're the only game in town now because a lot of the other colleges closed. So is it hard to get, or not hard, people have said this to me in other areas, that the leather making and cobbler is like a dying industry. Your sentiments on that and thoughts? Because I mean, that's what we hear in New York. Like,
Yeah. Oh, we hear it all the time too. And like seeing in reality that shops are closing left, right, and center, it seems real, but we're busy as hell. So there's also like the demand is there if you're willing to fill it and if you're willing to serve people as they want to be served, you know, like so many of them, you know, for example, with the sneaker alteration you did in Boston, right? Like we get that request as well. If they were to go to like any other cobbler, they'd just be like, that's not doable. No, I can't repair a sneaker. Like they just don't want to do it. So it's a dying trade because they're not willing to learn, expand, and they're also gatekeeping the knowledge. They're so angry and impatient and think that anyone knew. Like before I found Soul Survivor, I remember going into a cobbler shop and I shook the guy's hand and I offered to like just clean and sweep his space just to be in it. I wouldn't touch anything. He didn't want me. He shook my hand and was like, "You're not strong enough." And I was like, "Yes, you are right." But like again, it takes time. I'm willing to give you my time for free. Why don't you want me in there? So that's where the dying part happens, right?
Disconnect.
The dying part also, I know a lot of shoe repairers are tradesmen, but not necessarily businessmen. They're not charging enough for the work that they're doing, and their shops can't keep up with rent and raising material costs and inflation.
Yeah.
Like, if you are hand welding food, like you've got to be charging 220 Canadian.
Sure.
It's you have to charge what your labor is worth and what your shop is worth.
Sure.
And I also think maybe people are afraid to charge that, and I even know that feeling in the beginning. Starting off, I was like, I'm not worth that because I'm learning still. Now I know I'm worth it, but they haven't gotten that proper knowledge either, right? Like again, like the whole thing, I'm just gonna slap something on top. I saw a reel of a girl somewhere in Vietnam, and I loved seeing it was a female cobblers. They were just working off of the sidewalk and had like a pedal that was their sander attached to a bike, and her Birkenstock sole was like worn out. And the way they were only able to repair it was just to slap something else on top of it. So she was like, I loved it. It was only cost me $2, American. It felt a bit weird, but now that the material is squished, I can walk on it fine. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, like you can still do a good job with not having all the fancy equipment, right? Like shoemaking, everything's done by hand, right? I tried to teach my staff too. I was like, don't rely on machinery. Like if the first week that I took over, big sander broke down and I had no clue how to fix a sander. And then that's when I started getting busy and I had to close up shop for a week to pretend I wasn't renovating, just so that I can sand soles by hand and do it. And I was like, this is the universe testing me if I really want this job. And I guess I do. But again, like it's, when you can do a good job with nothing, how much do you like
Want to put in?
and how can you do it, right?
Which I guess my final point on that is like in the past historically there was, at least in Vancouver, there was a cobbler training at the Vancouver trade school back in the day. And now that's gone, there isn't really a pipeline to get people into the industry. And
So you guys are kind of like,
as well, right? Of like how to upkeep that.
so you're basically
The
the
pipeline.
pipeline.
yeah, exactly.
So people come to you.
Fingers crossed.
train.
So, but it means that like, that, you know, it's not necessarily, I don't think the industry is dying, but that happened in like the late 70s, early 80s, which is now, 40 years ago. Those people, if they were 30 at the time, are now 70. And so those people are now retiring, and there is that pipeline stock. So there isn't like a way for people to get into the industry unless they are cold calling cobblers and they get a friendly face at the door who says, yes, come in.
Yeah.
And that's just less likely. And so it hurts my heart that the industry would be dying,
Yeah.
but I think that it's just survival of the fittest a little bit. It's paring down.
Tearing down.
Yeah, the shops
But
are around
also,
are
do you
super
really
busy.
think it's gonna die? Because sustainability,
No, not at all.
repair is
Yeah.
all
No, I
the
mean,
thing
look,
right
we just
now.
went to the brands, Golden Goose and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they have their own little cobbler shops set up just for their brand, right? So there's definitely like
did
the
you know that-
interest there.
Did you know that they said that they're not just for their brands?
Oh,
They
yes.
do-
Yeah.
True,
But then there's, I was gonna ask about the services, what you thought, or if you were able to actually take a look at it, but
Yeah.
one is like super high-end pricing, and
Yeah.
one is like going for the total opposite,
Yeah.
and their work too, maybe, possibly, I don't know,
Yeah.
haven't really looked.
Yeah.
carefully at each one, you
Yeah.
know. But I was just gonna see what you think of it. As a trend, I think it's great.
I think so. I'm not
It's good to have
behind
both.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
totally, yeah.
Some people want to pay more, some people want to pay less. Some people will really, really care, and other people, you hear all the time, I'm sure you do as well, coming in and be like, the shoe only cost me $4.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Like, I'm
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
But like, that isn't what our time, labor, or materials cost.
Totally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, if someone can charge less, if they, as part of a big company umbrella, want to do
Go
that,
there.
Yeah.
then go for it. Like, I don't
Right.
think that's a bad thing necessarily. I mean, I also think that a lot of the younger generation doesn't quite know what colors are capable of. They don't know our creativity or the fact that we are the original upcyclers out there. And so
Yeah.
these big brands taking it on and being like, yeah, I'll swap out the swoop.
Make it trend, yeah.
It's trendy. It's like, great, I'm glad somebody is advertising that so that we as tiny businesses don't have to invest that money. We'll
Yeah.
just get them.
Yeah.
The residual benefit of it.
Yeah.
Of it being a trend, like all these sneakers, customizations, swap outs. We have lots of people come in and ask for that, and it's
Yeah.
because these big brands are promoting it.
Right.
So
Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
why not?
That's great.
I think also, and one last thing maybe to talk about the dying trade too, is that the people that are interested in it and wanna come through, they don't understand like that it takes years of dedication to be in it, and like once you're in it, like you ideally you hope you stay in it.
Yeah.
And so nowadays, satisfaction and sort of success feels like it needs to be instant because of the gratification we get online,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
this out of nowhere you just went viral for whatever one thing, and but what does that look like 10 years from now,
yeah,
right? And so people also kind of don't want to put in the hard work a little bit. Like whenever people would come to me and I would ask them in interviews like, why do you want to do this? And I think it's so cool. And I'm like,
I know.
guys, you guys there. It's not cool. It's the worst thing ever.
It's terrible.
My body hurts. My hands are dirty. The fumes get me high. Maybe the only benefit. Yes.
Yeah. You guys are hooked.
So
Yeah, you're
that's the thing. Like people, like why are you interested in this? Like why do you want to get into this?
Do you feel like you have a support network as business owners and having SSIA as well as other, friendly friends?
I mean, Flo was one of our first supports. When we first got we jumped on the Zoom call to ask some questions about hiring.
Staffing and all that. Yeah.
So I wouldn't say the SSA has been our support network personally, but we do have a network of cobblers. We're also a really good database. You go into that Facebook group and you just look at something, not necessarily interactive posts or any of that. So you can still find a wealth of knowledge. Yeah.
Oh,
When I
statistics.
started 10 years ago, it was very lonely. I definitely had, I had Peter, and even so, Peter was in his own world of shoemaking, so he didn't really want to talk about repair and didn't really care too much about that. And so now it's grown, even online, meeting other amazing makers and just being able to see what they're doing and being able to ask them without fear, because sometimes I find certain Facebook groups, you're just putting out, even with Marcel, he's so confident and cocky in what he does, but he's not a great teacher because he kind of puts you down. When you just tried, you're like, hey, look at what I did. He's like, that's ugly, don't ever try this again. And you're like, it's my first time, and I wanna, give me some support, and I get it, it's tough love, for sure. So I think now it's much different and the support is there, but when I started out,
From a maker's standpoint, it feels like a calling, right? You
Yeah.
wouldn't do this otherwise, but it also is this precarious hustle that is impossible, and you need other things to complement or balance it or something. And in my perspective, you guys are the stability. You can have a business, you can do that. You may be able to support a family if you were good at the craft and the business in a way that I don't think any of us really could do.
That's true.
Because of as a maker.
Yeah, totally. And I think,
but it's great to hear all the ups and downs of that too. That this is maybe a naive point of view because I don't know what your life is like. But do you think that you have the potential to do what you're saying, marry a bit of creative making with repair work? Because I just feel our world, that's way too hard.
Even in our world, I think there has to be sacrifice. You have to let go of something for something new to come in. And so for me, being in the industry for 11 years, I finally feel comfortable and confident enough to say, I'm going to do less repair. I'm gonna only take a certain type of repair that I can charge more for, so that I make time and space to be creative. Because, like I said earlier, the business does take over sometimes, and you're just like, I love that I get to work with my hands, but I'm not getting to express myself creatively, and I don't know how to do this because I'm trying to pay my bills and pay my staff, and so, there has to be then like, for us, it's more like taking in less of everything and being more specific about certain jobs that we want to take in. But it's, and obviously repair isn't easier bread and butter, because like, I'm sure with making custom shoes, you have to convince someone this is why this costs so much, and you've poured all of you in, whereas like, I'm providing a service. Even though I'm also pouring all of myself in it, it's less of a big investment for someone to get their heels repaired versus like, make me a pair of shoes, make me a pair of clothes.
How do you feel about, because you said you do have like this other part of your business where you're doing?
So when we're not making shoes. We don't make shoes for we make belts and accessories, other harnesses, and like bags.
Sort of like from your first sole proprietorship going into all together.
Yes, exactly.
But do you do the sales part and like
It's all custom.
custom?
So you bring me a picture of what you want, I will measure it out, you get to choose my level selection, make it, go.
It's the same intake counter. If you came in for shoe repair, you would walk up to the counter and say, "Hi, I'm here for one of many of our services," and here's where I would come out and do that intake. It's not like a separate business, it's the same business, it's just,
I wouldn't run a custom business. Because custom customers, the timelines are slightly longer, they're generally more picky, the materials are more upfront, like, you do need breadth. Even we had a shoemaker in our studio share space with us for the first 2 years of our business, and we thought that was gonna be a really good fit, but because she couldn't take on shoe repair, because we were doing it, and that was sort of a clear division in our two businesses.
to be clear, I don't think she wanted to do shoe repair either. I think she really loved her baking.
Yeah.
Did she not have the skills, or was it not even, she just didn't want to?
It is a different skill set, so like, she didn't necessarily have the skills, but she could have very easily, because
Learned
she had the
it,
basics.
right.
So like, I'm sure I could have trained her in 2 months, it would have been quick and easy, because she was already really skilled. But having worked with her, I don't think she had any interest in it. It just didn't bring her any joy, it's just not what she loved. So,
You also worked in a shop that was a cobbler shop that made custom shoes, and
Yeah.
they eventually stopped doing that because
yeah, the first 3 years, one of my first cobbling job, they had a custom shoe line that was from the front door, and there's kind of a beautiful display shelf, and for him at least, it was a real, brought people in the door, and he always said it was the way to tell our clients that we are a step above everyone else, essentially. Like, it's a way to say that we make custom shoes, that's how skilled we are, because to a client, they don't recognize it's a different skill set. But other cobblers would walk in and say like, yeah, it's a different skill set, but for customers, they think it's the same thing, and it seems like a step above cobbling.
I think
Interesting.
the tricky part also for making that jump is when you're making a shoe, you know your patterning, you know what's on the inside, you know all of your materials. When you're doing shoe repair, you're taking it apart and you're like, what's your cardboard?
Yeah, well, brands change their materials all the time, out of nowhere, you're just like, I've done this pair for so many years, and now suddenly this doesn't work, because components on like the rubbers have changed, or, that kind of stuff, so for sure,
There's a lot more
complex.
problem solving in
Right.
shoe repair, which then in shoemaking.
Right. And it's kind of like problems made by other people and other
Yeah,
things. It's not like your own problem that you just made. It's
Well,
like,
brands that are trying to
yeah.
cut corners,
Right.
and make it look like a certain way that it was
But
constructed,
it's
but it's
cheaper.
really not, and you're just like, okay,
Yeah.
we're running into a
Interesting.
problem.
Yeah, cobbling in a lot of ways is very similar to like people replicating paintings or something. Like you're really trying to put on something with any luck. Maybe it doesn't always look the same, of course, but for many customers, they want it to look the same as it always
Exactly.
did.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to kind of, make it look as it blends in seamlessly, perfectly. It
Yeah.
was never there.
Yeah.
And so the creative aspect can be a little bit like washed away in that type of work, I find at least.
Yeah.
Not always. I mean, there's lots of times where I figured out a sweet little problem to make this look identical.
Yeah.
But I find a lot of times we get more fun, I think, in something else and stuff, or both Eris and I have like personal practices separate from the business, and so we derive a lot of joy from our personal artistic practices rather than business alone.
how do you find the time? Like, what do you do other than all together? I didn't know much about it. Can you tell us?
doing a lot of quilting right now, and textile work, so how to find the time is, for better or worse, I just do.
You're just
So-
starting quilts though, right? You're not finishing them like your other projects?
Accountable.
The textile
Yes.
is different, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And a quilt is not a quilt until
Yeah.
like it's bound and ready, you know. But yeah, I don't use patterns, so I find it.
Yeah.
I get to kind of play with it entirely.
Yeah.
But
Just freedom.
yeah, totally.
And it's still like upcycling in a way because you're using the bits and pieces and
I don't generally use any new fabrics
right.
because there's so many fabrics on the earth. There's really no reason to ever buy a new piece of fabric. There's 101 bed sheets out there.
Yeah.
It's just so it doesn't bring me any joy to. I mean, I love going to fabric stores. It doesn't bring me any joy to buy fabric really. So yeah, a lot of fabric materials.
And then your practice is your leather work.
Well, the leather work is in the business. I
Right.
actually don't
Right.
sew outside the business at all. I've gotten into flipping furniture.
Oh.
In my spare time, like finding alleyway tables and chairs and sanding down.
Cool.
Nice.
Another version of like upcycling.
Yeah.
Both of us are
Yeah.
in the same
Yeah.
thing, yet
I
different.
mean,
Yeah.
that's
do you like repairing?
yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, like, was that why it really hooked you, the shoe repair, because of the sustainability, and the upcycling, like, is that, or was it just natural to you guys, or like now it's all like all the businesses are all talking about sustainability
Yeah.
and this and that, they throw all these words, but
Never-
you guys,
in the beginning,
shoe
I didn't-
repair is like the first.
Yeah, in
You've
the
been
beginning I
doing
did
it for
not get into it
age.
because of sustainability at all. I was just more like, I wanna work with my hands.
Yeah.
And this seems like, and I don't even wanna say easy, but this seems more like a steady income of, even though it's hard work and you're getting paid less than, making custom shoes perhaps, but like, it could be more frequent and easier, so, but obviously being in it, I was like, I understand the importance of sustainability and reusing and repairing and things like that. But for me, it was more just like saving my own spirit by working with my hands and working with leather and shoes. Just really clicked. That was it. Yeah.
Like, sustainability wasn't what brought me into it, but it is something I love about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say spicy comments. Say that shoe repair is greenwashing for sustainability.
Wait, I couldn't hear, sorry.
Shoe repair is greenwashing for sustainability. It's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
We are like a band-aid on a cracked dam.
Yeah.
We are preventing shoes from going into landfills that have no other way of being recycled, but the companies that are making these TPU crumbling shoes
Yeah.
designed to fail within 2 years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is that mass
Right.
consumerism that we are not going to fix unless maybe we shift the general population's perception of buying higher quality shoes that are made to be repaired.
And the garbage we're making from repairing shoes, like all of the left. I try to my best to use as much of the rubbers that I have, like a little easy
Yeah.
corners for build-ups, whatever. There's still so much trash,
Yeah.
but it's not enough to be recycled. So
Right.
then we're creating also more trash. And the toxins of like the glues that we have to
Yep.
use and all that kind of stuff, for sure.
Industry
it's,
as a whole.
I worked at a shop and she took every offcut and had them individually bagged.
Yeah.
Base material type, and she was like, I'm sure someday.
Oh yeah.
What?
That's the
That's where
curse of
they
a
take it.
cobbler. Yeah, you just save everything. Like one day, then
But you
the
have
moment
room
throw
for
away,
it?
You're like, I need it now. That one job. Yeah.
Can I ask a way back up question? You were shoe shining in the view co-op, like, did you literally have like a little
Yeah, I
thing
just
and you
little,
just
like,
did that? Like,
page-board cap
where did
and a
that
little
come from?
sign. I don't know. Because the old part of Montreal is all cobblestone. It's very touristy. And so you still see shoe shine stands like in airports and out and about. And I just thought it was a good way to make a good change, and it was.
Did you just learn it yourself?
YouTube University.
YouTube.
YouTube University.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
The
awesome.
Big Vancouver Nordstrom's, which is now closed, we no longer have one, but they had like a shoe shine stand, and that was kind of in Vancouver, not Montreal. That was the place to go, and
Also,
it was cheap. It was $5 for
Yeah.
a shoe shine in 2017, and we'll give you a 20 because it was you didn't change. And so those guys paid great money, great tips.
Charge you for taking pictures, you think the setup is,
Yeah.
picturesque.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's the business center as well, so you get men there.
There was actually a little resurgence here for shoe
Yeah.
shiners, a whole group before COVID,
Yeah.
and then that happened, and I think they just pretty much.
It was like a collective,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And they were like
and pretty much, and they
London,
were training
JFK,
Yeah,
Chelsea
very
Market.
Shine Guild or the-
Shoe
Yeah.
sign, yeah, they have like suspenders.
Yeah,
and-
this time
Forget-
this year, they have competitions, they have the,
First year for the.
this year
shoe
they
shining,
introduced a shoe shining competition, where you do a before and after picture, or maybe after.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
And they introduced that as a new contest, and they also introduced a,
Like renovate your shoe.
Renovate,
Pimp my shoe,
reimagine.
they called it or something?
they did call it that.
What, what did they call it?
Pimp my shoe.
Oh,
So it was like, you just get an old pair and then repair the one side only and change it completely differently, like pimp it up from the old pair.
Well,
Yeah.
it's for, like I
Makeover.
teach refashioning for theater, movies and
Yeah.
stuff, I do some antiquing, filling this, and like, so there's a whole other, that's a whole other world, so
Yes.
it's really fun. It's
Totally.
super
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that also speaks to the fact that even like our biggest oversight entity is trying to reflect the fact that times are changes and that cobblers do need to pay attention to new trends
Yeah.
on like, shoe shining that's being led to the public in Japan and
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Europe.
Europe
Mhm.
and
Did people bring shoes to you to just be shined, did not?
oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's
So
so
one like
great.
the mirror shine and
Yeah.
the
Wow,
weddings
that's so
and stuff.
cool.
What actually could be, so my friend Karina runs a really, like one of the old shops in Stockholm, and they do repair, orthopedic, and bespoke. And it's 3 ladies.
Yes, I follow
Right.
them.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
They're like-
awesome.
Amazing, but what they do is they do offer shoe shine classes for
Oh.
clients that either
Yeah.
like order a pair or something, and then and it's basically free, and they can bring one person, and they find it's a really great way of educating people about shoe shining and taking care of shoes and seeing quality, and that, I think that's like a good way of kind of, educating people.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I was-
buying better
Because leather care is
product.
number one for like
Yeah.
shoe repair, really. Like if you can
Yeah.
just take care of your shoes before you put them away
Yeah.
for the season, that's huge.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't wanna.
We actually, last year in May, at Raven Recycle, which was the recycling depot up in Whitehorse, which is one of the more northern territories of Canada, brought us up and paid for us to go up to teach a class on leather care and do on-site repairs for the week in their recycle depot. And they have a reuse store where everything is $1, and they go through the whole depot, and everyone basically pulls out donations and pulls stuff from the bins and it's all theirs.
Why doesn't US have that? It's all Canada. It sounds like you guys have like.
I mean, you have other
Recycling
things we
you-
don't have. So
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We started.
I also see like YouTube videos and TikToks coming out of shoe repair shops that are trying out these
Right.
make videos and how-to videos.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you haven't gone to that direction, but we haven't because we don't
Have it.
get paid in Canada for making that
Yeah.
educational content. We don't get payments from those
Yeah,
channels.
Yeah. I ask it sarcastically because there's so much time in these videos. Like they take
Yeah, well, people
forever.
also
Like bless anyone
pay,
who
like,
Yeah.
can do it.
there's one guy in Guelph, he does beautiful work, and he was smart. He paid someone to come and do all his videos for him, and then now he can transfer those videos on TikTok. I mean, on YouTube and all that. He's like blown up quickly. I still do everything sort of myself because there's aspects of the business that I also love and I like learning about it. So I do enjoy making my own content, like filming it. And yeah, like I've had videos go viral on TikTok and like I'm not getting paid for it. So, but I'm also like, I don't know, I'm trying to find my own voice and what that looks like because I don't think that everything needs to be step by step. Like sometimes people just want to see one aspect of it. I don't know, like for me, social media is kind of like if I feel social and I want to have fun, that's what I post. But I do love that those videos exist because like they're very
I do hope
nice
to
look
see
at.
maybe more diverse people hosting them.
Yes.
Breaking up the pros
Sure.
in terms of who's being represented as
Yeah.
cobblers in those new viral videos.
So I guess in part of that, I would love to see like media companies protecting those
Oh,
diverse people
sure, yes.
from the
Yeah.
onslaught of comments that
Right.
inevitably arise.
We did a feature with InStyle, and it got like hundreds of just hateful comments.
Oh, really?
Crazy.
That's
Oh,
why
I
you
didn't know
need,
that.
yeah, that's why social media sucks.
Yeah.
And
Like you put yourself out there and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
crazy.
shame.
We had, I
It's just lied. Like, just being like you're queer.
Yeah. You're like, we're queer cobblers, and you're like, why do you have to tell us that you're queer to be a cobbler? Like, how does that impact your work? It doesn't really. It has nothing to do with our work, actually.
But it
is who
impacts
we
the
are.
environment to know
Yeah.
that there's space for queer people to
Yeah.
be in this industry, because at first we didn't even think women
Be
could be in
women,
this
yeah.
industry, so anyone can be in it if the space is created for that, and you are creating that space, and that's why you're being showcased, but yeah. I mean, there was a video of me just like cutting a pair of Red Wing soles, and I can cut them with my eyes closed, I've done so many, and every single comment, and all men, like, don't you know you shouldn't be cutting towards yourself?
Oh, yeah,
And they were
that's
called-
what I was-
Yeah.
And they were calling me bro, so that on top of that, they didn't understand that I was a woman just because I'm like, you see my hands, and I was like, and the comments were just like, they're gonna cut their fingers, they don't know what they're doing. It's 2023, why don't they have a machine to do this? And I was like, wow, like, do you do this? Like, I don't know, like.
There are
This is the
people
way.
that are home that don't have anything else to do.
It's
with it.
totally,
Yeah,
and that's what's
There's a lot
like
of
kind of
those.
discouraging, because like you wanna share your story and the knowledge, and like
But, like,
obviously
to who
there's
kind
a
of thing.
community that's so into it and wants to absorb it and receive it, but then there's also the other people who are just there to like share
Right.
it, and you're like, why am I doing this? Like,
Right.
Does that drive traffic though to your website, to your other, because I just went to something like around Google and how to
Yeah.
get more people. They're like, post on social and it'll drive to your
Yeah,
other platform.
I don't know.
If we go viral, we will get backed up for weeks, and the customers will get upset.
Right.
It's a balance, like,
Yeah.
Right.
It's a balance. You want to be popular, but not
Too
popular.
Is there like a shoe that you guys just hate working on? Like, I would love to know this, because I'm a pedorithist now. I learned from
Yeah.
Keiko and Bonnie shoemaking here when I was here before, and then became a pedorithist doing orthotics.
Yeah,
And we send a lot of people to our local cobblers in Michigan,
yeah,
and I'm like, oh, am I about to send this to them and then hate me for
yeah.
for doing this? You
I
know?
hate Blundstones, but I don't know if that brand is popular here.
No,
Like
I
in
don't.
In Toronto, like everyone wears them. They're just like
Here
a
too.
slip-on Chelsea boot, but
Oh, they're so
full
popular.
They're
vulcanized
so popular.
soles. And it's funny because now, so what happens with their soles is like if you're not wearing them for like 6 months or so, they're just sitting in your closet, and then you put them on, they start combusting and kind of disintegrating and falling apart.
Oh.
So now Blundstone has started working with Vibram too, and they're changing some of their styles where they're charging more now for their boots because they're like, oh, now look, it's
Better rubber.
It's a rubber sole.
deteriorate.
And they want-
But I mean,
Congratulations.
yeah.
Craig,
Yeah.
what I'm wearing is banned in our workshop.
Really?
We bought these this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
What?
bought them yesterday and the crate looks like that already?
They're not
Excuse
cheap.
me.
Hold on.
The Red Wing Super Soul boots is hell.
Yeah.
What else?
Which is TPU as well. So
Yes.
Blundstones are
Yeah.
TPU, the Super Soul is TPU. It's a material that just crumbles. And Danskos are made of them often,
Yes.
the clogs.
Right.
and
Yes.
Looks like
Yeah.
clogs, but it's
Yeah,
not.
Geoxes are a lot of them. Like,
Yeah.
TPU as a bracket really is awful.
Mm.
Which I think a lot of orthopedic shoes use
Yeah.
that
Yes, they do.
for
Yeah.
comfort,
Because I'll
right?
even use thinner to like take things apart and try to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm destroying it.
Yeah.
Take it to a company.
It's not
Yeah.
meant to be repaired. It's
Yeah.
meant to fall apart. So
Yeah.
it's about
Oh,
new
yeah.
materials. Like it's designed that way.
Yeah.
But then yet the uppers are always outlast and then are in mint condition
Yes.
still, so that's the sad part about it, but.
I was gonna say keens with those little cups that come up, the roll-up keens. Those don't bring me any joy. I don't know.
Doc Martens don't really. Although we are launching Doc Marten like full resole. We're about to
Yeah,
launch.
you can only
like,
do docs if you're doing like a full
Yeah.
360 weld or.
Yeah, and not all flip flops are bad, but
Yeah.
lots.
Do you find that like it's really hard to understand what glue is on the sole of these shoes to know which glue you should be using to re-glue them? Because we have a lot of issues with like even people bringing, let's just say like old orthotics to us or something, and we're like trying to use like a master's and then it was running out or it was another one, and nothing
Yeah.
sticks, and then
Yeah.
everything falls apart, yeah.
I mean, I think with shoe repair, usually like taking something apart is the prep is very
No matter
important,
what.
right? So
Clean it
really like
fully.
cleaning it fully, like sanding it, acetoning it. You can do some test spots for it. But yeah, like the glue component and like the
Primer.
science behind it always does change. Like there are for sure shoes that, like for example, even though I hate blunt toes, I'll do them, and I have figured out the glue and how to use the primer and all that, and then still there'll be one pair. I'm like, why is it not sticking? I don't understand what's going on. So it's just experimenting, and then you have that time to do that. And
Yeah.
I do think it is a big component of the jobs that bring us less joy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
It would.
definitely,
Yeah.
when you go through the whole effort of sanding something and you know,
you're
doing
so
all that
close to
prep.
being done.
Yeah, and then you glue them all together and you come in the next morning to go start to trim it and it's not, and you know, you're on a timeline or
Yeah.
maybe not. but
yeah.
it sucks a little bit of fun out of it at the moment,
Yeah.
but I do think compared to when we first opened, we have, you know, substantially less glue
Started
issues,
charging a lot more and that sent a lot of the really bad ones out the door.
Yeah, I think we just figured out there was just a couple ones that were tripping us up, and we figured those out, and then it's fine. And it was probably the same thing every time, chances are, is we figured it out and fixed it, but.
Did you guys have mentors that also helped you with like the math of the business?
No.
No. So like how did you?
I don't do that.
Categorically, I do the math,
Yeah.
But like setting your prices, like how do you? Is it?
So we actually redid our pricing system in the past 4 months, and what I did was I took every single expense of the business from the past fiscal year. So rent, materials, labor, insurance, phone,
Rent,
all
yeah.
of those things. Averaged out to minutes, and then I have put into our charging system now. We don't really charge by the job too much anymore. We charge, hey, we think this is going to be 50 minutes, take 30, 40, whatever, and that is
You have like a chart.
sort of.
Oh.
We found that inflation crept up on us so hard in the past few years that we're
Materials are
like,
expensive.
this should be, like, I know that this is a 10-minute job, but in my mind, I'm still stuck 3 years ago where 10 minutes should maybe be $25, where nowadays 10 minutes is
$35.
Yeah, minimum wage right now is $17.50, I'd say, in Canada,
Yeah.
and in BC at least, and that crept up like
really fast.
quite quickly
Yeah.
from when we opened in only 3 years, and so then with that as factoring into our costs, it's.
And ideally too, people working in the trade, you want to pay them more too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Because like
totally.
you're trying to keep them in the trade so they stay longer and they're doing a job that like others can't. So then really
I think
our
17,
yeah,
but
totally.
when it creeps up, it's like
Yes.
everyone has to keep kind of going up, which
Yeah.
is good, but
Yeah.
So
hard.
we did that change because we wanted to be able to keep up with inflation in our heads. So we know it's 10 minutes, next year 10 minutes, it's not gonna be $45, it's gonna be 50.
Yeah.
We're gonna change that number every year.
Which that makes it even harder for shoe repair to, make it worthwhile. I suppose, I mean, the quality is worthwhile, but like to convince customers,
Yes.
like, are you okay to pay $55 for a glue job? Because your shoes just came apart even though they're fine, right? Let's say, that's gonna be then another thing that we're gonna have to like figure out as the time goes to convince that. And ideally, like in a perfect world, we're all getting paid more, so people can make more money and then don't have to question why they have to pay more for things. But sadly, that's not happening. We're just getting charged more and no one's making more.
Yeah.
We
So, yeah.
also take full payment upfront, including rush fees, all of it, and we ask fees.
yeah, it's offered on the sheet.
Yeah.
Lots of people don't want to tip up front, and that's fair, but we also don't collect any payment when we pick up. So there isn't an opportunity to talk about that later. And so many people send their partners to have with their friends,
Yeah,
et cetera,
yeah.
so you're not having that kind of conversation at pickup.
Interesting. How do you maintain loyal customer base for yourselves? Like, is it repeat customers?
Something that we do at least is that all of our intakes are done by Airserai. So when
You
you
get
come
to know them.
Yeah, when you go to the shop, I can see your whole account, and I can see which one of us helped you, and so I think having that same continual, consistent face helps us as a new business at least. When you've been a long time, and they are used to you and they're used to your quality, then it's maybe not as important, but I don't know. But as a fresh business, it feels.
Oh, yeah.
Like I appreciate it.
Cool.
I
was just saying, like, we have a long lease, I think, or, like.
Nice.
Yeah, which we
Sure.
fought for.
Yeah.
I think our community span, we get a lot of people from mainlands and out of town as well, but I think they know that we're gonna be there for a long time, like, we're all in this for the long haul.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important for people to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being really upfront about our expectations at the counter. You know, here's the leather sample, here's the materials that we're gonna use, like having that very in-depth conversation with people, I think makes a huge difference in terms of them coming back.
Yeah. I mean, for us, like since the pandemic, we pivoted to be online only, so there is hardly any face-to-face anymore. And luckily, like our customer base followed us into that, and even though they miss us and we miss them, like it's worked out great. There's some that we speak to still face-to-face if it's like custom stuff, but we have like a rewards card that they get, so that if they get 7 repairs done, and free cleaning is on us. So that tends to bring them back. We have like if you sign up for a newsletter, your first repair is 10% off, that kind of stuff. And then we also do have a rewards card as well for people that come in and they're spending quite a bit. Again, another little 10 off. Or we used to put, if it was $75 or more, we would give them a Soul Survivor shoe bag, just little things to be like, here, we love you, come back, you know? And that seems to, people like that.
Something that's unique about our business too is we're not just doing shoe repair, we're doing your jacket, your bag, we're a one-stop shop for like all of your most expensive goods in your closet to be repaired. And so people will drop off a bag with us and be like, look at your shoes. Or drop off shoes and be like, oh my gosh, I have this jacket in my closet, and come back with it with that other item.
That's cool. Any other questions?
I just wanted to know, so things that you work on are higher quality? No.
No, definitely not. I mean, not that we don't work on high quality.
Yeah.
But we work on everything from the worst quality to the best quality. There isn't, for us at least, the repair.
So
will
somebody's
change.
bringing in a pair of shoes that they didn't pay that much for,
Sure.
and they're paying maybe more than they paid for the shoes to have them repaired.
I
It's
definitely-
just because they love the shoes that much.
I feel like a $90 flip-flop pair, $2 from the dollar store.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, well, just because it costs $4 from the thrift store doesn't mean that it.
Well, no,
Yeah,
but
costs
at first
$4.
store,
Yeah.
it's something different.
But even
you know,
let's say
it
cost
could
in
have been a
Walmart.
good quality product
Yeah.
from the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, it's
You know,
honestly.
somebody buys a pair of shoes at Zara and then they're bringing it to you and paying, $100 to have them fixed.
People are attached to their things.
Sentimental.
Yeah, and I get it, right? So especially like if your feet are a certain way and it took you forever to break these in and suddenly
Right.
they're your favorite shoes, but you've also worn them to the ground. I get it, but yeah, sometimes you're just like, really? You're gonna play this? And we sometimes charge them more just to try in hopes to convince them that they're not gonna do it. And then they say yes and we're like, oh shit, not gonna do it. Okay.
Well, sometimes they're more work because
totally.
they're worse.
Yes.
Right.
You have to be more careful.
Yeah, for
Wow.
sure, for sure. We've pivoted more to try and get more high-end products now, especially being online only, that kind of thing. We try to just, that's why we only showcase certain brands on our Instagram, because that's really all I wanna get, sort of thing. But we still, get, Blundstones and things like that.
Or is it hard to say no at face to face?
I mean, you wanna make
Yeah.
money, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
I don't have to do the face-to-face thing, so
Right.
I can say no online kind of thing, but people still they don't like hearing no. But I remember when we had to say no face-to-face, like, they would just be like, what, you're denying me? Like,
can't
it's
do
not
this,
worth
kinda?
it, like, don't do it, like, you're better off, we would convince them, like, do other avenues, and they'd still be like, no, I need these shoes. Yeah.
we stopped taking in edge coat, which is that like
Yeah.
3D V that you see in a lot of first strap
Yeah.
handles, high-end brands. It's just terrible to repair. It doesn't look good. People are always kind of grumpy about it.
Takes
Sheen
forever,
doesn't
takes
match.
forever, yeah.
And people are like, really? And we're like, okay, well, there's another shop that you can go to. His minimum is $250.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want this tiny box, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do definitely try, like, with our intake, and the reason we give people so much information is so they can make an educated choice. So if we feel like, you're gonna glue the soles, then the heels are gonna fall off a month later, we'll say that, because I would rather that they do it up front, even if they don't remember it, if they don't do it out, but at least I'd rather try and say it. And so if we think that something is like a bad idea to repair, for whatever reason, we'll tell people, but people are sentimental, they're gonna do it anyways, and some people don't wanna be told no, they're gonna do it anyways. That's okay.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
And there are some people I'm like, really, you don't want to do this? This is awesome. And they'll be like, throw it away. And I'm like, okay, I'll keep it.
Yeah, people who don't repair Birkenstocks. The shoe that is designed to be repaired is cheaper than the original.
We have
like,
a bin of Birkenstocks that people are like, can you just toss these for me? And I was like, yes. And they're gonna go in this bin so the team can like customize them, play with them, whatever. But I'm like, really? It's like,
Yeah, it makes no sense
Yeah.
to me.
Do you guys have like a resale section?
we used to do that in Kensington, because once a month they would have a thing called Pedestrian Sunday where all of the shops would set up outside and like food and music would be playing, and we in the fall would do like shoe shines and stuff like that. And yeah, we would like either sell shoes that people never came to pick up and were abandoned, or we would, you know, sell things that staff had sort of like reworked, that kind of stuff. But now, no. We have bins of projects that were like a Birkenstock bin of things that we want to do, and
Bins of projects.
yes, that's about it. But yeah, I wouldn't mind getting into that again of like some capacity of, you know, remaking things.
How big are the spaces that you work in?
So I share my space with my partner who's an artist, so half is his. He's a screen printer, and we have a wall. So my space is about the size of Capo's almost, yeah.
Just half size or the full size?
Up to like this wall here, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have a 1700 square feet.
It's big.
But our upstairs is sewing machines, like the post bed
Yeah.
cylinder,
Oh.
walking foot.
Is it a whole building? Two floors?
So when we say 2 floors, there's 2 steps.
Okay.
It's just the way we
When you
delineate
say
the
upstairs,
areas.
okay. Up steps.
Yeah, and then the downstairs is almost all shoe repair,
Oh.
the outsole,
Oh,
or
cool.
the sanding machines and cutting tables.
Yeah.
So yeah, we real estate's not cheap in Vancouver by any means, but we knew when we opened that we wanted to have both aspects of the business, and it felt like the only way to do it.
Which is smart too, because you can grow into it, right? Like Kensington for us was really small. We were in like a tiny little dingy basement, and people loved coming in because they're like, what is this elf shop? It's dark and cozy, and oh my god, what's happening here? And Christmas was the best time because I would put tons of lights everywhere, and it was really cute, but there was no space to grow. Like it slowly, the counter was being pushed to the front door. So I was like, I need space, and I don't know where to go.
Yeah, I laugh because I feel like we filled it up immediately. And
Well-
if anything, we've just been selling one machine to move another one in
Yeah.
for 3
As-
years.
as-
Tetris.
Yeah.
Take a visit every 6 months.
Yeah.
Exactly, us too.
Yes, around. What's 5-10 years from now for you? Like, what do you think? Would you be mentoring more women? Would you be kind of focusing on passing
What a
knowledge?
More locations?
No, I've been here, done that. We used to have 2 locations and 13 staff, so we talked about it like in the beginning. I was like, I'll never do 2 locations ever again in my life. I would like to, in the next 5-10 years, gain more knowledge by like working with other people potentially. I would love to invite like collaborations of sorts, maybe with brands. Somehow figure out traveling in the work. Like I was thinking like it would be really cool to like go to other cobbler shops and be like, here, I'm gonna offer my skills to you, and you offer, like kind of like energy trade, you know how like yoga studios do? I think that'd be a cool thing. But I don't see myself like wanting to be stuck in just one space or just repair. Like my soul is wanting more and more going into the creative side of stuff.
We're committed to our lease for the next 5 years, so we're gonna be doing the walk-in thing, probably till the end of that. In the next year, 6 months, we're doing a bunch of samples making, so Birkenstock, Blumstone, Doc Martin.
We have a lot of photos of our work, we don't have like a physical, like I can hand you a shoe that has a
Oh yeah,
full sole on it.
Shishoku.
Yeah.
And I'm working on a website for like package resource revamps for that type of work.
Yeah.
After that 5-year lease renewal, I think we'll have a decision to make whether we want to stay open to the public or do the closed door studio that allows us to do more selective and nurturing work. And I think that'll really depend on the lease renewal.
And if we
Yeah.
can find a space that
cheap or,
Yeah.
feasible. And I think similarly, like the idea of doing skill shares or doing traveling, I really love being up at Whitehorse and having everyone up and getting to, talk to a whole different public.
Yeah.
Work with people and like being able to work with Rate and Recycle, which is really fulfilling. We
We've
both joke about being masters all the time, but one of us has to run the business.
we've had a lot of inquiries about like, do you teach shoe repair? And we're like, oh, we could like do a little bit, but not really,
Yeah.
And there's not, so,
think
and I
it's-
don't have the
it's too
equipment.
Yeah, but also it's too difficult because everyone would bring a shoe
It's
that would
totally
require
different.
something different, and it just would be hard to like teach that in just
machinery.
one class and machinery, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you have.
But it's so
majority of the
tiny,
components,
it's not the
yes.
bar.
Here,
you-
fine,
Yeah.
but to teach people to do it at home or do the
Yeah.
like DIY shoe repair, there's a limit to what makes sense for DIY shoe
Yeah.
repair,
Yeah.
especially because every shoe you own in your closet needs a different primer or needs
Right,
a different glue
that's
and
the
rubber
thing.
type it.
Yeah.
So
With apparel, I feel like there's like those mending workshops, or like,
Yes.
what's it called? Like mending, once a month, they all gather and bring
Yeah.
something that's broken, and which is cool. But then I'm like, can we do something like that for shoes? But I'm
I
like,
mean, you
no.
kind of did that with the upcycling,
We
reworking
tried.
of like
We
the
tried.
shoes, right? I think that's
Sneakers.
that's the
It's hard.
that's the closest I think you can get to repair of like taking an existing shoe and working with it as much as you can to like make it into a different kind of shoe that you would wear more potentially. But repair, yeah, I think it would be difficult unless you tell everyone just brings a Birkenstock and you only are gonna put a sole of Birkenstock on and that's it. Or heels only.
Yeah.
But even then, yeah, like there's all different kinds of heels. And
It's also hard because even when we were opening shop the year before, there's somebody offering a shoe repair course, like come train with me for a month, I was teaching everything from shoe repair course.
Oh,
That was priced, I think, like $12,000. But 12,000. It was up there.
for 1 month.
And I remember looking at the price and just being like, I could buy a shop
Yeah.
and just flail in the water for 6 months. And the same.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it's that material and expertise in somebody's time, because teaching is work. Like,
Yeah.
we don't apprentice for free, so we don't have the time, we don't have the insurance, we don't have the risk factor. You need to, it's a tricky thing.
mm-hmm.
I actually found some really cool, like old books on repair work, and it's actually I learned a whole bunch from that. And then just taking things apart.
Yeah,
Yes.
taking things
Just
apart.
getting stuff and taking them apart, I think is
Yeah.
a really huge learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever someone approaches us and they're like, I'm interested in shoe repair, I was like, have you taken apart a shoe? Do it at home. You can do it with whatever tools you have handy. Just take it apart and see how it's made, and then put it back together. And
the SSIA website for the conference this weekend has a PDF copy of shoe repairing by
Knapp or something like.
Harb.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Harry or
Yes,
Henry.
yeah, Henry. Yeah.
And it's a great PDF. It's
Yes.
missing
I've
what I
gotten
consider
all
large
those books, yeah.
sections,
Yeah.
like as far as like modern shoe repair goes. But there is the bulk of it is very informative and a really great resource. It's just
That's
missing
cool.
things like women's heel pins.
Do they support you? Like, what's the? I thought that someone was maybe coming from that, but what do they do for you guys? Or is it more like you guys? Is it just to mingle? Is it just
So for the conference itself,
it's informative? There's
yeah,
seminars.
informative. Yeah, the seminars are informative. There's machine maintenance on machinery that like we don't, at least in Vancouver, we don't have a local repair person who repairs these machines. So in this case, it's outsourced. There isn't anyone who repairs outsourced. We do all of our own maintenance. And so I'm looking forward to seminars. But throughout the rest of the year, the SSIA has a map on their website that lists off SSIA cobblers.
If you pay the membership fee.
If you pay the membership fee, yeah, as a paying member of the SSA, you get to be on their website.
Okay.
And there is a Facebook page that tells you when the conference is happening.
That's about it.
And where a bunch of men are arguing all the time.
Oh.
No, they're not really arguing, but they do like share knowledge, but then it's like, you can tell who like the top guys are, and then and they're like, I'm right, you're wrong, I know about that.
And
Yeah.
at some points they
Yeah.
The Jim McFarland room?
Yes.
there's two groups. The SSA one, which I think Jim runs, is like a public facing page, and and then there's SRI, which is
Yeah,
like
sorry,
private,
SRI, so the private,
group.
so I'm talking about the SRI one,
Yeah,
yeah, cause
yeah.
that's where everyone really like shares their knowledge and like this stuff, but
Yes.
usually it's drama between them, so I just kind of watch.
There's so many egos in that.
Oh, so many egos.
But do you check it though? You actually like tune into it just to kind of keep.
Like I did in the beginning when I first, so I found out about SSIA when a gentleman named Raul who had his shop in LA, sadly
yeah.
since the pandemic, he closed it down, there was like
Really?
yeah, it's a
Oh.
big drama, yeah. But he had just called the shop and he was like, hey, you're a cobbler, I learned about you, you should come to LA, there's a convention. And I was like, who are you, what is this, okay, and then they were like, join the Facebook group, and I love joining the Facebook because like they were sharing great information, but then as I was part of it, then I noticed I was like, oh, this is just a bunch of like men trying to show off, being like, who's better than the next one. It's like knowledge was being shared, but with ego, and so I wasn't really there for the ego. I sometimes once in a while go on Facebook, but who uses Facebook? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
SSIA also at one point in time did large advertising campaigns across the states
Yes.
to help all shoe repairers, and I think
Yeah.
they don't do that anymore, unfortunately.
They've got the top players that they support, and like it's
The conference is the thing that they really
Yeah,
want
I'm
to
not a shoe repair person, but what if I become a member? Do I get on that Yeah, I know, right? I got those invites.
Yes, they do
Yeah.
have like separate on their website, they delineate between suppliers,
Yeah.
repairers, retailers, so depending on how you apply.
You should maybe convince them to start a section for like workshops, and like
Workshops,
teaching and stuff,
education.
right?
Yeah.
Schooling, that would be.
We do use the SRI group as a search engine often.
Yeah.
And so when I'm like, Red Wing Super Soles, why aren't they sticking? Sometimes I'll look up Red Wing Super Sole to see if someone else has,
The
found
same
the
plot,
perfect
yeah.
solution.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's great, and other times it really relies on people either tagging their posts correctly and not just like posting a photo being like, what is this?
Yeah.
Well, I can't find that ever again.
Yeah.
So it's hit or miss really, but when it's a hit, it's great.
Yeah.
When it's a miss,
That's good.
it is what it is.
Cool. Any questions? Awesome, one.
What do you recommend for this type of work to protect your nails? Excuse me, while I cough from my black one. I hate wearing gloves, so I don't wear any gloves. We do have a cream that's called like a barrier cream, like something glove cream. I forget what it's called, but you can get it on Amazon.
What does it do?
It sort of adds like a thin layer. It's a bit slippery at first, but it settles really well. But pretty much the glue won't stick to you. Like it just you can peel it right off.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think it's called glove in a bottle. I forget, but
Glove
the blue one. Yes, the dark blue one. But for sure, like ventilation masks is a must. Gluing happens in the designated area. Spraying, all of that. Being like, if you read like what all that stuff does, it affects women actually more than men. Like it affects our reproductive organs and all of that stuff. So yeah, like I'm terrible with gloves, but I always say to my staff, like, do as I say, not as I do, because I'm just, I'm responsible for my own body, and if I'm not wearing gloves, cool, but they wear them, they wear the masks, safety goggles, when we're using the sander, they wear earplugs as well, and yeah.
So we have a glue house very similar to this one here, where we have the downdraft charcoal table, so it pulls down all the glue films because they tend to sink. And we have other ventilation that goes up for when we're doing re-dye work, because that tends to rise to air.
Yeah.
So there's that. I always wear gloves personally. We provide them for the staff and people. We also provide the 3M face masks for glue specifically. On the sanders, it is mandatory eye protection. I wear ear protection, as some other people do.
For the boss trimming.
Yeah.
It depends because we answer the door as well, so.
Yeah.
But when our cobbler staff are standing, they usually have ear protection.
I'm usually wearing just a lightweight
mask.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, our shop is still fully masked. All of our staff are fully masked for COVID precautions, and just it's
Dust.
like, dust. It's just not. Why not? It's healthy. And so we're doing that anyways. I don't wear gloves, but
I will say I wear the tight, lightly rubbered in the front gloves, and I have gotten that caught in sander
Yeah.
once. once, and it sent me to the hospital.
Oh.
Full bruising. I didn't break anything, but we got wrapped around.
Yeah, that's the thing that they say about
Oh,
gloves
the
when
tip
you're
of
sanding
the
or trimming.
Yeah.
Oh.
It very specifically got caught in our wire brush,
Yeah.
which we looked it up on SSIA, and it was posted to somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody else having the exact same thing happen to them, so be careful with that one.
It was just a little too loose. Of a glove, I think.
Yeah,
That rubber
tip.
tip.
Yeah.
Weird, trying to open in Santa. Anyway.
Okay.
But also, fun fact, in Mexico, a lot of the shoe repair shops, they just use their finger to glue.
With their finger, yeah.
Like, straight up, just in the pot, on the heel, and like.
It's like me with thinner. I don't even think about it.
I don't know, there's something to be said of like, how did people do it back in the day, and how are they still doing
Why
that,
are there
you know?
73-year-olds working at my place of work, fully functioning? and-
Yeah. I don't know.
Healthy, I'm like,
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
smell it? Do you smell the leather in the glue shop?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you smell the glue here?
no,
I smell the
never.
glue.
I've never smelled glue. The glue has never given me a headache. Even with Renia, nothing. Like, there were Stephanie certain staff who was like, as soon as they walked in, like, I can't handle it. And I was like, whoa, okay. And one of the side effects of Renia too is like it can make you angry, and like so maybe that's why a lot of the shoe companies
So there's a little joke when I first got into shoemaking, she wouldn't, it was just a hobby class, and
Yeah.
she wouldn't let us, she didn't really know, or she wouldn't really let us glue the outsoles on, so she had this deal with this cobbler.
Yeah.
And it was really funny after a while, you could always tell in the morning, he was like totally like jazzing it up. And if he would go and in the evening, he would be like so freaking angry and so moody. And it was like, yeah, that's totally the glue.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
like,
getting to your head and you just start angry.
And there's people who taste the glue to know what type of glue it is.
Wait, do people taste the
Some guy, there was like,
I worked in a glue factory where the main glue maker would heat up his lunch every single day on the same oven that he used every single day.
Okay, that's too much. I'll definitely like will sometimes snack without having washed my hands, like whatever. That's
I don't smell
adds
anymore, but
flavor.
our staff definitely. It's like,
Yeah.
fumey, but
I don't smell the leather.
no, we have a lot of people come to the front door and go, wow, it smells so good in here. And it's the leather, I'm
Yeah.
not sure of it, but
Yeah.
but it could be glue too.
We're-
Some people love the glue.
it's possible.
Oh. All right, thank you guys so much. Wait, any other questions? You're good? Thank you. And we didn't go around the room. We kind of do always just because it's a smaller group, because there's a lot of talent. If you guys want to do a little quick, what you do, intro, super quick, what you do, where you're gonna go, I don't know. You wanna go? Start there.
I'm Tommy. I help take it on sometimes in the shop, and I just do freelance work for 3D modeling for shoes. And I'm planning on going to Simple St. Martin's for grad school in the fall. For material design, but I want to keep making shoes, and hopefully I find like a similar shoe shop.
Yeah, and I thought about there was like a co-working space too in London somewhere, so I thought maybe.
Oh, really? No, not it. Hi, I'm Marika. I make shoes and boots fully bespoke. And I also get to do stuff for Broadway and prototyping, random stuff. And then I teach at FIT, Parsons and Christie in shoemaking, so it's all shoes.
Nice.
I'm Fossey, I'm the studio manager here at the Shoe Space, and I teach some of our classes, and I'm still kind of learning with Keiko.
I'm Sarah, I'm a cowboy boot maker, just north of Boston. And I trained with a boot maker for 3 years after going to Coordinators College in London for shoemaking. And I teach at RIS as well, just starting.
I'm Claire. I learned from Keiko here at Brooklyn Shoe Space many years ago, and then got into and worked in the Brooklyn Shoe Factory and everything, and then did orthics. So I see in a clinical sense as well. So I see patients every day, and try and fix their feet or whatever is happening with their bodies, and then make the orthotics by hand.
Very
They're
cool.
located
In Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, in Ann Arbor.
Bonnie, I learned shaking Keiko also, and now I'm a full-time cobbler/tailor.
Oh yeah, I went by there today. Yes, they mentioned you. Very cool. You weren't there, but yeah, very cool setup.
I think you taught my new baby class as well.
Oh, those are
I'm Kristen. I also learned shoemaking here at Brooklyn Shoe Space, and I continued making shoes and just recently launched my own brand.
Yes.
But it's like custom, so
Oh, it's amazing. Yes.
so I'm kind of stumbling through it and figuring it out.
Very
how I
cool.
do it. And I have a full-time job on the side, so it's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Working.
Soon you must make the move all the way to bespoke only. But you
Yeah,
gotta leave
I
the
mean,
job.
and I'm not as
You gotta commit to
bespoke,
Oh,
like
yeah,
I don't, everything's not hand stitched, I definitely do, cement construction.
Yeah.
But it's better, cement construction, I would like to say, and customizing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Very
I'm JL. I just go here. I just graduated from undergrad actually, and I mostly I've worked in repair for like a little bit, and I'm mostly just interested. I'm actually primarily like a writer, but I do stuff with my hands, and so just want to get into stuff.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Vaughn. Rico was my teacher. He got me people there at RISD, and now I do brand engagement education for Laces Design. They do footwear job placement internationally for designers, as well as like write-ups and educational meetups and engagement events. So I'm here covering this one.
Love it.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for having me.
And he came to Boston. I didn't know you until you came to Boston to write up about the vibrant workshop that we did. Yeah, it's great. You need that support network,
Yeah.
you know, of people talking about it.
Yeah.
I gotta go visit.
I'm going back. I'm running around.
I'm Claire. I, like JL, I also just graduated from undergrad like 1 month ago, so I'm still figuring out like where all this is going to be in my life. But I took a shoemaking class also with Marika like last year, and I just like loved it, and I want to keep going with it in some way.
Cool.
I'm Zach. I'm now the designer. I'm a winner.
Wow.
Vaughn is one of my close friends. And came to here and learned. It was really interesting. Thank you.
Cool. What kind of law?
Data privacy.
Yeah. Yeah. And how about you?
I'm Michelle. I just sort of moved here and I make my own clothes and I want to make a pair of shoes.
Cute.
I'm Lauren. I just came to listen and learn. I don't know anything about shoes, but I think it's really awesome what you guys do. And before you guys leave, I want you guys to fix a bag of mine. And I would love to talk to you about boots or cowboy boots, or just contact information. I'd like to buy some nice cowboy boots. So anyways, that's it.
Cool. Cool. Welcome.
Thanks.
My name is Cosmo. I'm here for my dad. I'm his dad.
Oh.
My name is George. I went to FIT with Keiko. We took a athletic footwear design class.
Well,
And from that, me and another student started a nonprofit that teaches sneaker and fashion design. So it's been we're in several schools. We've been fortunate to work with some brands, and it's been a great journey. So I just wanted to come down and listen to you guys. You guys gave us the good, the bad, and the ugly, which was great to hear. Thank you guys for sharing.
I'm Luis. I took like an intro class with Keiko last year at some point, and I want to learn to make shoes. It sounds so beautiful. Yeah, just thank you for this. This is so cool.
Awesome. Thank you for coming, everybody. All right, I think I'm going to turn off this camera.